coffee, please? Coffee, please. Coffee, please. Coffee, please. Would you give me more coffee, please? Coffee, please. Coffee, please.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Still got the goggles on. You got the glare. Good morning. Happy Monday. We are here, episode 5 of Morning Coffee Pod with BF and Stormee. Happy Monday. We're here to start off your podcasting week, podcasting day and week. Turn off some of these elements I got. Pause it. Thanks, Stormee, for that cool little more coffee please graphic we got you this morning, fresh graphic. We appreciate y'all being with us. We got some friends backstage. We're going to bring them in, and we're going to talk about all the exciting stuff going on, not only in podcasting, but some of our personal podcasting stuff. So good morning. Let's throw a couple of these comments up real quick. Our boy Jerry has already joined us. What's up, Jerry? Talking about football already. Opie Radio says the Eagles are no joke. That may be true, Jerry, or they just got lucky with that injury to Purdy. Guess time will tell. No snow so far, all right? We appreciate Jerry being in the chat already. Opie says Purdy couldn't feel his fingers after the injury in the first half. Yeah, he took that odd shot to his arm, dude. Yeah, Jerry. Okay, let's see. And he was painting a basement and not watching. Yeah, I do that too a lot, Jerry. I'll kind of just put on the game for background noise and try to keep up with it and try to take care of some other activities around the house, especially with all this podcasting and everything. So, well, we're glad you're here. I'm glad we got a couple friends in the chat already. Happy Monday morning. Let's bring in our friend and our co-host. We get the show started. We'll do a tight hour before we get into the next shows. Let's say hello to Stormee. Hey, Stormee. Good morning.
Can you hear me okay?
You're a little low, but I can hear you. How you doing?
Okay. I'm good. I'm coming to you from my car because we have weather issues here and my internet's messed up, so I just jumped in and used my phone.
You are low. I don't know if you can get closer or turn it up, but it's good to see you, and you're coming in good otherwise. You noticed I'm going with the stripped-down version of the show, too. We'll kind of just do the regular coffee with stripped-down kind of thing. We do the graphics and stuff for the other stuff, but, yeah, so we just wouldn't kind of take it easy and not so much production, just hanging out and talking. So you're out in the car today, so what are you up to this morning so far?
I had to drop the kids off and run and go grab a few things, but I'm back and just sitting here and just figured I'd stay right here instead of messing with going in because the internet's not working anyways.
Yeah, for the last couple of weeks, we've been trying to get it together. We're kind of building the show as we go, and you've been dealing with the challenges of adding green screens and new equipment and finding locations in your house to do it, and it is always a challenge, and, you know, we've had our issues with graphics and me cutting out, so I decided today, let's just take it back bare bones. So I'm glad I see that you kind of did, too. Let's just keep it simple, just hang out and talk like friends, and we'll save all the graphics and all the highfalutin stuff for the other shows. So that's
Sounds
cool.
Good.
Yeah, so not only are we going to talk about other podcasts, I just had to jump out of Uncle Rico because, or the Blunder Years, because I get caught up in it as a fan, and sometimes I really have to pull myself away and go, hey, Bob, you're doing a show, because I'll just sit there and just be in my phone or whatever I'm watching on.
I do that too.
Yeah, so it's different when I'm caught between those worlds of being a podcast fan and actually having to do podcasts and do my own show. So thanks for making time to be with me and be with us this morning. Yeah, we had a good show, the first sports show on the Shuley Network, and that was exciting stuff. So we're going to talk about how we ended up there and talk about some of the podcasts that are coming up this week. But let's see, before we do that, I'm going to bring in an old friend of ours. I think he got up extra early for this. He's a good friend, guy we always enjoyed podcasting with, and just a great guy to bounce things off of and talk to. And I want to check in with him and see how he's doing. Let's say hello to our bro, Bobby Nick from Canada.
Hey, not much, guys. Good to see you.
How you doing?
You too.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, so you mentioned a couple weeks ago that this is kind of challenging for you to get up at this early hour in the morning, Bobby Nick. So what time is it up where you're at?
It is now 8 o'clock. So
it's now 8 o'clock. So we got a full 2 hours difference. That's not too terrible. I thought I was getting you at the butt crack of dawn. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I'm usually not up till about probably 10 or 11. So my time. Oh
Yeah, I've always said, if I didn't catch you before noon Eastern on my phone, I was never surprised. Cause that would seem to be your time to be sleeping, because we keep all these odd hours because we're such podcast fans. So Stormee, I really appreciate that graphic you just sent me with the music. Did that come through when I started the show? The music?
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
it's pretty cool.
I like that. So Stormee's always hooking us up with the graphics, and she slid that into me last minute this morning with the cool little music in it about getting coffee. Look, I finally got smarter. It took me 5 episodes to get a insulated cup.
there you go.
I would try to get a mug of coffee and I would drink it. It would just get cold before the end of the show. So I finally wised up and put 2 and 2 together.
Well, I actually don't drink coffee in the morning, but I am indulging in some A&W root beer.
All right, very good. Well, whatever floats your boat in the morning. I know previous episodes, Stormee talks about she gets the cold coffee. Everybody has their own kind of little crutch in their own little. There you go.
Little bottle this morning.
The Frappuccino.
Everybody has their own little ways of getting their day started, and we just figured we'd get together and kind of do it together. So we'll just start out with some basic stuff. Let's see what's going on with the weather, everybody. Just flash some maps up here. Get people's week started. See, it's mostly clear across the lower 48. Got some stuff up around Andrew's way, around the Great Lakes and stuff, or kind of heading his way. And let's see. There's your infrared Doppler. So you got a little storm blowing off the east coast of the United States here. Here, you can check out for what part of the country or the lower 48 you are in. It's supposed to be like mid-40s to like mid-50s here today, so that's not bad for a January. The last Monday in January, as a matter of fact. How about that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
How about that? Go ahead.
That month went fast.
Yeah, it did. We're into a new year, and we just about took care of the first month, so the last Monday in January. And as we've come to know or discover, there's a holiday. Every day is a holiday for someone or something. So when we do morning coffee pod, I like to see what the National Day calendar has to offer for national holidays. So today's offerings are National Bubble Wrap Day. I thought this was a good one. How about that? It's a day dedicated to bubble wrap, also known as Bubble Wrap Appreciation Day.
Wow.
It's actually a fascinating little story I'll read along. I won't bore you with the entire story, but essentially the story about how bubble wrap was invented was some guys in New Jersey that had a business. They, for whatever reason, they were shipping something, and they put 2 shower curtains together, and they discovered the air bubbles in between they couldn't chase out. And so they ended up, it was kind of an accidental invention. So that's kind of the origins of bubble wrap. But I thought that was interesting. Are you guys, now I was always the one in the family that was known, I was a bubble wrap fiend. Like whenever something came in with bubble wrap, I had to obsess over it. I had to pop each bubble, see how loud I could get it, see how many I could. Did y'all enjoy bubble wrap like that too?
Oh yeah, I always just like to twist it and just hear them all just crunch at one time, pop it all the time.
Is that your method? Yeah.
That's
same, Stormee?
Yeah, we lay it on the floor. Even my kids do it, and we jump on it.
Right.
That's a good one.
And that's what's fun about it. There's all kind of ways to have fun with bubble wrap. You can twist it. I was like, I can make this noise if I do this to it, or if I step on it, or But it started out just I used to just kind of obsess and just kind of, I think it was kind of like a stress thing at the time. I didn't, before you even realized that was a thing, because there was some kind of satisfaction out of popping all those little bubbles. So I just thought that was fascinating. There was a National Bubble Wrap Day. Let's see, they have one more.
It's kind of relaxing, just popping all the bubbles.
Yeah, and I didn't before these days of the stress ball and everything, Bobby Nick. I kind of did it. I would just sit around and I would methodically, I would just pop like one bubble at a time,
That's why I love getting Amazon packages.
Also, if you're yeah, there you go. There's plenty of that. But people would literally save it for me because they know I would obsess over it. So they go, "Oh, we gotta save that for Bobby because we know Bobby enjoys that much that I'd find some fun way to mess with it." So I was known for that. And it's also, I should have kept that screen up. It is also National, if it's a thing, National Croissant Day. That's how you say it.
Oh, a croissant.
So we got Bubble Wrap Day and National Croissant Day. So I thought that was interesting.
Nothing wrong with a croissant.
So there were your national days. My only experience with croissant is sometimes we go to Burger King, we get those croissant sandwiches or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure you say croissant, right, Bobby Nick?
That's right. Yep. Croissant.
Pronounce it croissant. Yeah. I think I had to like kind of learn to say that, right? I think we say crescent. Gotta get one of them crescents. Some of that
That's what
Baltimore
they say
accent
around
slips
here.
in. All right.
Yeah, that's how people
You got
say
crescent?
around
Yeah,
here.
hit the hard crescent. Do they? Okay.
I've actually never heard that before.
Clock out a
I've
little
never
bit.
heard that before. It's always been croissant.
Yeah, I guess Americans on some way we're just lazy about the way we say things or our words. So yeah, I know the more French. There's Stormee back. You're back. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Cut
thing
out.
about Canada. Like a lot of people are French here, so
Yeah, and I know that is
have the
yeah,
proper pronunciation of it.
you gotta have that French saying on it. All right.
Yeah.
So I was just like I said, I had to pull myself away from an episode of the Blunder Years this morning, where they
Me
were.
too.
Yeah. So it's just never ending, and I know I can't believe that they can just take these videos from the past and have so much fun with them and get so much out of them. So that's there on the Shuli Network, where of course there you go. You can see Miserable Men. We can go to the live. They're probably still going on. They were a little late this morning, a little late start. The BS show will be starting at 11. We're looking forward to that. And look right there. We'll talk about this. You can see the first episode with 1,600 views of the Sports Heads on the Shuli Network. Look at that. We made our debut, Andrew and myself.
Awesome.
Thank you. On the Shuli Network. And we'll talk about how that came to be. Like last week it started happening that Andrew said, Shuli wants to do something on the Shuli Network, wants to do sports. And so we were watching the BS show last week. And I'll play the video. Andrew ended up on the BS show last week, unbeknownst to me. He didn't give us any notice, like, hey, BF, or hey, I didn't, did you know that Andrew was going to be on the other morning, Stormee?
No, I didn't have a clue. I was surprised.
Yeah, it was
I did actually kind of know. I had a feeling because he was telling me about Shuli communicating with him. So
okay, yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. So so he communicated to him, and so we were watching the BS show, and so Bobby Nick says he had a little clue that maybe Andrew would have been on. Stormee and I had no clue, and yet, and then here comes this video that I'll play you right now, and then Shuli's going to make an announcement about Sports Heads coming to the Shuli Network. Check this out.
Buddy, you had me at you're in. The show, you're in. You and Bobby Fran, let's think of a new title. Let's think of a day and a time. You want to do this? And let's give you guys some test runs. I think the fans will love it. And really, whatever you do, don't go on Misery Loves Company Incorporated, all right? They are strong.
Very big company.
Why not? Yeah, we're publicly traded.
And don't ever wear a fedora.
And don't ever wear a fedora. And everything will be better. At the Shuli now.
Andrew says, I'm done with that shit. And then he says, don't ever wear a fedora. But Andrew, he must have thought he was hearing something totally different. So that was a lot of fun. And so that's kind of how, I found out at least that, I'd be coming along with it because I heard that he wanted to do a show. And he's like, you and Bobby Fran. And so when I finally heard my name attached to it, I was terribly excited. And so we got together, and it should have been our 35th episode of the Sports Heads, but it ended up being our first episode on the Shuli Network. And I believe that it went really well. A lot of positive remarks. I want to say thank you to the 1,600 views that we have already. And I know a lot of these are curiosity views as far as the first sports show available on the Shuli Network, but we're going to work really hard to make sure that everybody comes back every week.
Well, Bobby Fran, I just have to applaud you for your professionalism, and you were just on point. You've always been professional, but I've never seen you that on point throughout the whole show.
Thank you, Bobby, for your
great.
compliment.
All of you guys did great, and I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you, Matt. That's very good of you to say that. I mean, for those of you who've been with us for basically from the beginning of Sports Head, Bobby Nick was there to moderate the chat and to really watch what's going on, because a lot of our family and friends will pop up in there and say funny things. And especially in the beginning, it's a lot of bells and whistles here, and I couldn't keep it all straight. So Bobby Nick always reads that chat, with the interest, and he'd say, "Hey, BF, this one said that," and it was always a great little thing, and hopefully we'll get back to that. So I really enjoy that, and thank you, Bobby Nick, because the first episode, of course, I was nervous, but I tried to tune out how nervous I was and how many people might be watching it. But
you totally managed to tune it all out and focus, brother.
Thank you. Now, what did you think when we were watching the show and then you heard that, like, Bobby Fran and Andrew? Like, is that how you found out that we were going to be on the network?
Yeah. I mean, when Andrew was asking about you coming along, and I actually thought it was going to be a different name because Shuley kind of seemed like he didn't like the name the Sports Heads, but I'm glad it's still the Sports Heads, and Stormee's graphics is there, and this.
Yes, and
totally awesome.
Yes, thank you, Storm, because I told her as much over the weekend. It was very nice. It's very nice to go into not only to do our shows, but when you're asked to go to another level and you show up and you feel like you're put together and you have graphics and you have we have all our social media packages and everything, and Stormee is a big part of that, and she's the reason that we felt professional and confident going in there, and that I did have that confidence to do the show that well. So thank you, Stormee, for that. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm glad to support and help however I can. I'm just glad I was able to.
Yeah. Now, so were you equally surprised when you saw on the show that that Shuley announced that we would be joining there?
Yeah, I was surprised. Completely thrown off. I had no clue.
Yeah, because that obviously Shuley is building a big network over there, and they're doing DabbleCon this weekend. We'll talk about a little bit, but there's so much going on over there, and we kind of got caught up in it, and all of a sudden it's like, we're going to do this show this Friday, and I submitted a show, and for doing all this new stuff and doing it last minute and trying to fit it in with everything those guys are doing, and those guys are great to work with. It went really well, so I'm very grateful and appreciative to all you guys, for you and Bobby Nick, and to even Andrew bringing me along, so to speak.
Yeah.
But
another nice new feel to the show is that Bone Loads is back.
Yes, Bone Loads is back. Thank you. Yes, the West Coast correspondent. So for those of you who hang out in our show chats, Bone Loads that's what he goes by on social media. He's a good friend from early days of the Shoe Crew, and he jumped with us early on in the Sports Heads. And we're glad to have him back on that. So thanks for reminding me of that, Bobby Nick. Let's see. Check our notes here. Yeah, so last week, with being such a busy week, we always trying to watch these podcasts and keep up with the best we can. Is there anything that stuck out for you guys as far as what's coming up this week? What are you looking forward to as far as coming up this week, Bobby Nick?
For me, More Miserable Men. I don't know. I love that show. The BS show is always killer. Cool. I'm looking forward to the MLC, Misery Loves Company, going 4 days a week now.
Yeah, that's gotten wild. So I want to thank Stormee for being there Friday. I know I didn't go to you so much, but I told you, like, at the end of the show or after the show, that I invited you all because it was our normal crew, and it kind of needed it made me feel comfortable. So I appreciate you being there, even though hopefully it wasn't too uncomfortable to sit there and maybe not talk so much. But I know you have kids, and you're involved with sports with them, right? Do any of your children play sports?
Oh yeah, I've had. I played sports, and then the two children I adopted, they were into sports: soccer, basketball, cheerleading, and then my youngest is getting ready to join gymnastics and basketball, different things. So yeah. Well,
see, and I need to do. It was the first show, and I need to do a better job of that, as well. And that I like Bobby Nick, because Bobby Nick from the get-go says, "Hey, BF, I'm not a big sports guy. I'm not sports guy anything." And part of me thought, well, boy, that's a negative. But then the other part of me thought, no, that's really kind of exactly what I want. Because what we discussed early on in Sports Heads is that a lot of people are intimidated by sports, and they don't want to admit what they don't know about sports. And Bobby Nick cares less. He could care if people think about him not knowing something about a sport. So I appreciate a person who will sit there and go, oh, wait a minute. What are you talking about? And kind of, he slows me down sometimes.
What's this about?
Yeah, what is this shit about and all? And I could have done the same thing to you, in that sports isn't just about knowing the NFL teams and the MLB teams. It's also about your relationship with sports. So you might not like the games on the level that we do, but your relationship with sports is how you have to interact with it for your children's sake and what you learn from that. And I learned a lot about sports that I wasn't familiar with by my children's participation in soccer and things like that. So that is kind of a education in some of the rules and the fundamentals of sports for some parents or for some others that might not know them. So, in the coming episodes of the Sports Heads, we only hope it gets better and better. And that's what I want to do. I want to talk about just what sports is in your life, even if it isn't the most important thing. How does sports affect your life? And that's how it affects your life with your children's interaction. And then I just love how Bobby and Nick will say, hey, what does this rule mean? Or sometimes we're too liberal with the definitions, and we'll say PED, like a performing enhancing and drug, and Bobby and Nick will say, hold up, what's a PED? Yeah. So in the weeks to come, we're gonna bring more and more, just normal sports talker people. And hey, and look, we got our friend Brian Clowder checking in saying, Good morning, Brian. We appreciate you, bro.
He's a hockey fan, right? I know
Brian
nothing
is a
about
hockey fan, yeah, man. Yeah, that'd be fun to go to a hockey game. All right, let's see. So I think they got a kind of an interesting week coming up on the Shuley Network, and that they're preparing for DabbleCon at the end of the week. And that could affect our scheduling for the Sports Heads, I believe. So we might be some DabbleCon going on in our time slot this week. You can count on me and Bobby to help out. There we go. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Man. All right, Brian. Yeah, so they announced that they're going to be going a Miserable Men today. So they started out on Patreon. They're going to be doing the BS show on YouTube, and then they're going to be doing at 11 o'clock after this show. And then tonight they're going to be doing a special Miserable Men. Now, did you hear the guys talking about a special Uncle Rico tomorrow and a surprise guest? You guys hear that?
Yeah,
I did. Big surprise guest. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's being quite a tease. So I assume it has to be like Stuttering John related if it's Uncle Rico. So I'm kind of curious.
You would think so. Yeah.
Kind of curious because they've already had like Scott Salem on, I think, didn't they? Or Shuley did at least.
Yeah, Shuley had him on. Brian Phelan, I think, was on one time.
Brian Phelan, I think that was the one I was thinking of. Brian Phelan came on. That's a fun guy. I like Brian Phelan. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, DabbleCon's going to be in full force this weekend, and they're going to have the Dabby Awards. They're going to do something at 7:30. I mean, the schedule is just like amazing. So I know the guys are getting ready for that. It's going to be interesting to see how they turn all this Stuttering John stuff into like an award show and multiple podcasts. And they're going to have Anthony Cumia is going to be there, Chrissy Mayer, a whole collection of comedians.
I'm sure everybody's going to be doing live shows from there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so last week on the Wonder Years, they on the Blunder Years, real quick, I have a quick video I was going to share with you. Something John said and something I added to it. John had the sex therapist. He was interviewing the sex therapist quite creepily, and he ended up talking about, he was trying to tell this woman that he didn't have glands behind his helmet of his junk. He had glons. And so they were like laughing at him, like here he's like mansplaining to like a professional about calling his glands glons. And so they all got a kick how he's calling glands glons. And I added this comment, and then this is what Shuley did with it. Let's check it out.
He's got the spot. He knows the spot, what it's called, what they need to do.
I remember one guy had two hands on it with his head to lick the helmet.
I'm Glons and I'm Franz.
Up your penis.
You're up. Yeah.
Glons and Franz. When I heard him say glons. So when I heard him say glons, I thought Franz right away, and I did glons and Franz surely like that, so I was happy about that. But yeah, you just talk about a guy that has like just zero filter, zero judgment or anything. So let's see what we have for our notes.
True.
Mm-hmm. And then last week on the Rob Soul Show, which I co-host on, I'll be on tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Rob was a little sick last week. He was a little out of it. So, and it was kind of class. I'll give you a little behind the scenes. It was kind of like last minute that I found out that, hey, I'm probably going to, Rob said, I'm going to try to make it through Levy Land, but I'm not feeling that great. And then Chris is going to host. So kind of last minute, we kind of shifted gears. And could you see Chris got to sit in the big boy chair in the
Yep.
Rob Saul
Yeah, that was
hosting?
weird looking at that though. So like
Yeah, it was.
different.
It was, but
Didn't it?
it was really cool because you and Chris were able to shine a little more because
Yeah.
Rob wasn't there. Not that I hate, nothing against Rob, but he is the host, but he was away, so you guys got your time to shine.
Yeah, thanks, man. We did. And yeah, like, so when you're putting it together last minute, it starts occurring to you, okay, well, if Rob's not here, everybody has to move up one. And I know we have to talk more and participate more to help Chris out. So I did feel that a little bit. So I'm glad it seemed like it worked out well. And it's so hard. I just come on here and I talk to you guys and I talk to friends and I hope it turns out okay. And I definitely count on you guys and you could like critique me if you want and say, hey, BF, you kind of sounded like funny or whatever. But luckily, you guys always give me some good positive feedback because it's hard to perceive. But we had our guest Ray DeVito on, and we had Andrew on, our boy Andrew, because that was like
Big week for Andrew.
Big week for Andrew. Yes, big week for Andrew. We had him.
Don't forget, Andrew was filling in for Zen.
Andrew got a kick out of that. Hey, shout out to the 3 people watching live this Monday morning. We're just hanging out with friends. Watching the coffee pod. We're having coffee and we're talking. But yeah, that was funny. Andrew ended up technical thing. He ended up having to kind of use Zen's code to sign in. So he got he's like, oh, so I'm taking Zen's place this week. And so, so he definitely went with that, Bobby. And he thought that was funny. He was going to do like a whole bit around it or something just because that's kind of the way he had to sign in. Yeah. And because our guest was Ray DeVito, and that was my first time talking to Ray DeVito personally. And of course, everybody can see that Ray's a nice guy when you watch these interviews with Bob and everything. But it was fun to talk to him, and he's a sports fan. And even though he's like a Cleveland Brown fan, and it kind of goes against, he was kind of crapping on Baltimore a little bit. I won't hold that against him too much because that's just that's a football thing. But it was fun talking to him. It was fun talking about his comedy special that dropped on Dry Bar Media. Let's just see. Oh, yeah, I saw that comment, Brian. That was the first time sports was ever talked about on the Rob Saul Show. That's what I saw Brian last week in the chat. I saw you, bro. He says, I can't believe that I'm enjoying sports talk on the Rob Saul Show. So I thought that was something. Yeah, we kind of took it over that way, didn't we, Brian? We kind of made it our way. And it helped that we had Andrew. We just had the announcement, and Andrew is bugging to get on as many podcasts as he can. Andrew's got no shame to his game, and his negotiating game was going on simultaneously, wasn't it? Stormee, you see that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right away, he's like, hey, can I do more shows with you guys? Can you put me on this show? Can you put me on that show? I even offered him to, if he stays home from his day program, he could come on here with us some mornings, because I know Andrew loves to be online.
Oh
Sure
yeah,
does.
he's even asked me, what could we do that's separate if I have enough time? Can we do maybe something individually? Can we find some ways I could get in other podcasts? I'm like, just do one thing at a time. Ask one thing at a time.
Yeah. And even in the midst of doing a broadcast, he'll be like, hey, can we get Eric Bischoff on? Can we get this? Can we get that? And we're like, and we're like, slow your roll, Andrew. That's our boy, though. And he's got all the right thoughts. We just got to like space him out a little bit. Maybe not during the show. We don't negotiate everything, but that's our boy, Andrew. And that's what people like about he's got no shame to his game. He speaks his mind. But I thought he had a great first episode, too. I mean, and we always tell Andrew, and we always say to ourselves, we don't come on here and say, well, act like this or do this. We say, Andrew, just be yourself, dude. We started overthinking it as the week went on, and you start wanting to do a good job, and you start thinking, maybe overthinking it. And finally, I had to stop myself, and I even had to hit Andrew. I'm like, hey, bro, look, all we got to do is do what we've done the last 34 episodes. Just come on here, be ourselves, hang out with our friends, and talk about sports. And I'm very pleased with how it went. I think the early word was that Shuley was happy with it. I heard he watched, and they said that Shuley was happy with it. So we're going to be back every week on the Shuley Network. Sounds great to say. And like I said, over 1,600 views. We had so much fun just watching the views creep up after the initial broadcast. And like every weekend, I can't tell you how many times I was like in my phone I went shopping at Walmart over the weekend, and I'm walking around Walmart like refreshing my phone, and I'm like, we're gonna be at 1,000 before I get out of the store. This is great.
Yep.
You know, I'm like, I had to have like little measures
I think I
like
told
that.
you. I said I think I told you that night afterwards or something. I had faith we were going to hit that episode would hit 1,000 really quickly. I had a feeling.
You did. You had no doubt. I think you were one of the first ones that said like you're going to get 1,000 because we had a couple hundred like right off the bat. And with this podcasting, you're a fan of it. You've been in them. You chat in them. Not every comment is good, and some people come in there just to shit on things. Some people are just not pleasant, and they show up just to do that. But and even with all of that going on, I must say that I'm happy with the percentage of good over bad comments in there. It's got a decent amount of likes, and I hope it's enough that Shuli likes the show and keeps it going. And we're going to look for ways to make it better every week and to let Andrew shine, because people are going to be amazed when they see Andrew week after week and how he talks about sports. He's a lot of fun.
You know, and the only thing that sucked about it, the only thing I felt bad about is that Scott came in strong, in a uniform and everything, and then his internet crapped out on him. So it was like, crap.
Shout out, Scott. Thanks, man. Yeah, he was kind of bummed about that afterwards in our private chats, and he even put a comment on the actual YouTube of it. So, I started out so strong, and then he barely got a chance to start. But I appreciate the effort. He come in there, guns a blazing. He said he had a plan. He was choking himself out with his high school gear. He had to drill to take.
He still had it. he has the most random stuff, and then I was surprised he still had his high school gear. I don't know where he keeps it all. I never see it.
Well, he's the prop master, man.
He is the prop master. He is good at that, man. I got to say that he has found his niche like that. This man is pulling out like, balls and like National Enquirers from like 20 and 30 years ago. I'm like, yeah. My mother-in-law used to call all those the scandal sheets. And she would share them with her female relative. She's like, gotta share the scandal sheets. So that was a good, so shout out Scott. We appreciate him. I said it'd probably be intriguing a lot of people. They'll show up for the next episode going, hey, where's that guy that was kind of showed up and was doing all the football stuff, and then he just kind of disappeared. So people tune in. Hopefully in the weeks to come, you'll see Scott, and he'll be doing a lot of fun and crazy stuff. I like having him on there too to bounce some sports things off of too. Yeah, so it was great last week doing the Rob Saul show with Chris. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully Rob's feeling better, and we'll have the full crew back. Maybe Zen will see. He's been missing a couple weeks because he's busy doing his stuff, and Men Are Talking, which is also on the Shuli Network.
Lots of new shows going to the Shuli Network. It's awesome.
Lots of new shows, and it's so heady, and it's so generous of Shuli to make us a part of that. I mean, that's what's been cool about this all along. Is like we always talk about the family we get out of this, and you think you're fooling yourself sometimes when you say family, because we don't actually come, we're just only together like this. But when Shuli does something like that, it just really, like, for me, it seals the deal. And it's like, this really is a family. And if he's like, if you do show something, he'll help you out. And so we're grateful that he was so gracious to let us do that on his network. All right, let me speaking of our guy Shuli, let me do a little screen share here, and we'll talk about what's going on the podcast day. Monday starts off our podcast day. Here is Shuli's Monday announcement of the schedule of shows today. I watched Blunder Years. They started a little late this morning. That was Patreon exclusive. And then 11 o'clock this morning after this show, in about 26 minutes, you can watch the BS show live, and that's great. They'll talk about, basically, it's a mishmash of things that are going on in the Shuliverse and all of these shows. You never know what you're going to see on there, and the fun time we'll have on there in the chat with our friends. And then the Miserable Men show tonight, Patreon exclusive. So you got to sign up for that Patreon. Go to patreon.com, Shuli Network. You can sign up, and you can find all that stuff that you don't get on YouTube. You can find that over there. Let's see. That's something I wanted to share. There it is. Okay. So one of the cool things, I was preparing for Sports Heads Friday, and there were so many things going on, and my mind was in so many directions. And all of a sudden, I saw this thing. Our friend, Tess, the resident artist. Thank you. I saw that she was doing a live And look at this picture. Look at this.
This is
I
the
like
first time
how
I'm seeing
Gina's in the
this.
background. Is that
Okay,
Gina in the background?
Yeah, so Bobby Nick, this is your first time seeing it, bro?
Yeah, I haven't seen this. That's awesome.
Ain't that neat? Okay, check it out. That's great. I'm like, look how she captures like certain essence of me. She even got my scruff. I had to shave
Yeah,
because she got the
man.
scruff. And yes, Stormee, I'm looking at this picture, and of course, you notice the things that are right in front of your face, right? And so I say, look at this. It's like me with my hat, and then Bob's kissing me, and then I look more, and I'm like, oh, that's jealous Gina in the background. I'm like, like he's got Gina. She was jealous Gina. So it's really great. Thank you, Tess. That is amazing. I appreciate that so much.
Tess always kills it. Always kills it.
So I first started seeing that name mentioned on the Compound show. You know, to always check in the chats or something, and then I see all the drawings and the live sessions and all of the podcasters. So to be among those people that she thought was worthy to draw the way she draws everybody else, I appreciate it, and it makes me feel that I belong and I'm arrived. So thank you, Tess, the resident artist. Let's see, you can go on. If you go on to, I'll show you where to go to find it. Matter of fact, let's see. Bobby Nick, if you didn't, I didn't see it live neither. She said having issues with the internet. But if you go to Facebook, and if you go to the Armchair Comic Facebook group page, and you can see where we're live right there, where we're broadcasting this show right now, coming to you live. It's on the Armchair Comic Facebook group channel. It's on my BF Bobby Fran YouTube page, and it's on my Bobby Fran Twitter this morning. So we hope you're enjoying it wherever you're watching it. But if you scroll down a little bit into the BF Bobby Fran, let's see. And Sunday, we'll go right here. If you go, I shared it, and she wrote in honor. Oh, I wrote it as an honor to be among those you have drawn for your Facebook Lives. Thank you. So, Bobby Nick, if you care enough to see the actual process and how it was drawn, and where I was drawn in the sketchbook, there you go, right there.
Right on. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that for sure.
Yeah, there were internet issues at the time, and I didn't get to see it live, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't get to see this live, and then it was reposted later, so I decided to share it. So with all the headiness and everything going on, I'm like, I'm in my scroll, and I see this going on, so I'm just so appreciative of the welcome that everybody's given me. And
you've made it.
The stuff like that. Thank you, buddy. I made something. Yeah, I don't know. I just appreciate that that these guys let me play along, and that the acceptance that I've gotten from everyone. It's very, very nice. Let's see. Once again, we went here at 11 a.m. this morning Eastern time. If you want to go watch some of the stuff we're talking about, you can go over, like, share, subscribe to the Shuli Network YouTube page. You can see the BS show coming up. The Uncle Rico's. Let's click on this. Let's click on this sports head here. This looks like a fine program. Look at this. Check out the view count. I like how it just says, what's 1,600? That's right. Over 1,600. That's right. For those of you who don't know, there we go. Go ahead. There's Andrew. Look at that.
He was hanging on Instagram one day, and I was doing my thing. Like,
Yeah, that's right. So for those of you who don't know, when Shuli first left the Stern Show and he come over to podcast, and I jumped in right away, and I was excited about it. And when we started watching, he got Andrew, like he said, from Instagram. He found on Instagram, and he said, I'm going to make a shoes team, and my sports guy is going to be Andrew Flora. And so that's how we know Andrew. There you go. So that was a little bit at the beginning of the show. Yeah, so that's how we got to know Andrew from the shoes team when Shuli first came over to the Shuli Network. Those early shows were fun, weren't they, Bobby Nick?
They were awesome. I mean, it was so entertaining. You know, Shuli would do his thing, and then he'd bring in the shoes team, and we were the shoes crew. You know?
I made that point too, because I think some of the inner working crew now kind of refer themselves as the shoe crew, and I made that comment the other day. Like the fans were originally the ones that kind of called ourselves the shoe crew, but Shuli would just start those shows at like 10 o'clock at night. He really didn't have a format or anything back then. He would just get on, and then he started like assembling, his news team. And I think what was happening, Bobby Nick, is he would have Lenny. He could do just like an hour on Lenny. And then he could do like just an hour on Andrew. And what we found is these shows that started at 10 o'clock at night were being drugged into the wee, sometimes to the wee hours of the morning. We'd go till after midnight or sometimes Eastern time. And so I think it was getting to the point where he got having so much fun and getting caught up with all these characters that he was never really like doing interviews it was just always just like a hang. It was always just a hang, which was fun. So I think that kind of made him think about things and reset. And then now we are where we are today, where now he has a whole Shuley network, and now he can feature these shows individually. So that's what we were telling Andrew. When he left, it was just the show that we did, and now it's a whole network. And so we're happy to be part of the network. Let's see what Jerry says.
Oh, yeah.
We go show, yay, he says. I said something before that. We got that one earlier. Yes, that's right. Let's see. Andrew wins. Andrew always wins.
Andrew always wins. Right.
Shout out to the 5 people who are watching this morning. We're hanging out here on a Monday morning coffee pod, trying to fill in this hour between the 2 shows. We're going to be watching BS at the top of the hour. Let's see what else we have to talk about on our little list here. I saw a little bit of Chrissy Mayer last night, and Anthony Cumia was on there. Did any of you guys happen to catch that?
I caught some of it too, yeah.
Parts of it, not all of it, but I watched parts of it.
Much like I guess Jerry was describing earlier, I kind of had it on while I was doing some prep for this show today, and just letting it play. But once again, they get into a myriad of topics, and I know they're all caught up in this whole Eliza Blue human trafficking story, and Brittany Venti is caught up in it.
Yeah.
Do you guys follow that any?
A little bit. Not a lot, a little bit.
It's so many layers to it. I can't tell who's being accused of lying and who did what before anybody else. But
it's very complicated. It's a very complicated situation. Yeah, I've noticed.
Yeah, but I was watching that, and they had
everything's being told at all, and it's just being overplayed and overdone by different people, and regardless of what happened, if the main attention's being taken off of the people that it needs to be on, and it's those victims, and that's not fair to me.
That's the whole thing. I think that's the whole beef that people have with this lady.
Yeah, well, they're saying that she's maybe not the great human traffic savior that she's purporting herself to be. Yeah, I know that's a big part of it. That they're questioning her. Let's see. JT says, "Good morning, everyone. I have you guys in my pocket this morning. Whoop, this morning at work. All right.
Right on, JT.
I'll play a little something for you. All right, there it is. So how's that feel in your pocket there, JT?
Ooh.
Good morning, bro. Welcome. We appreciate you being with us. All right, we got another one. Death Row.
Oh, Death
Row's in the house for sure. What's up, Death Row? Good morning. And there's Jerry again.
Hey, Jerry.
Hi, guys. Late to the show. You were early in the chat there, Sherry. Or unless you mean those guys were late to the show, because I know Jerry was early up in it. So, Jerry, JT, Death Row, thank you all for joining us this morning. We're just hanging out on a Monday with some friends. We're glad you're among us. Yeah, so that was interesting seeing Cumia in that mix of women. They were talking about that, but they had they had April from Steel Toe on there. You saw her on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What were your impressions of her in that realm on that show? I have a certain opinion. What did you think? How do you think she was coming off last night?
I don't feel like she fits in, but I don't feel like I would fit in with those girls either.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's a good point. I'm glad you made that up. And I'm glad that you had the same observation. Shout out to the 6 people that are watching live. Happy Monday. We're just hanging out with some friends. Got it stripped down. We're having some coffee, and we're talking about life and podcasts and everything. Yeah, so that's the whole thing with that show. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of a cliquey, kind of giggly girls club. They do try to talk about serious topics, but it always seems to kind of waver off to the silly or the giggly. But yeah, so that's what I found too. I was wondering, because April looked uncomfortable. she didn't have a
Yeah.
lot to say, and I was wondering if
Yeah.
that was other people's impression as well.
Yeah, I got the same.
Yeah,
vibes.
I did too, and my dad actually sent me the link to it, and I was already watching it, and he was like, I don't know about this, and I was like, I don't know how to describe it other than I'm a girl, but it's too girly for me. I don't know how else, like that group of females, it's too girly for me. I don't know how else to describe it.
I guess I can understand what you're saying because I have seen the show multiple times, and yes, it is. As soon as you see it, and yes, guys that like to look at attractive women, they're gonna love it. But yes, it is terribly girly in that it seems like one has to try. They look like they try to out make up each other. They're very put together, which is nice and everything. But it's like it's almost. You think it almost. I think it turns into a competition when it's multiple women
Yeah.
on the screen, and I
little
gotta make
bit.
sure I don't look worse than this one. I gotta make sure I don't look worse than that
Yeah.
one. And then so yeah, they are kind
Yeah.
of all done up when you look. They look.
Imagine
they look
me
attractive.
showing up in my car in my hoodie. What would they
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. They're like, you're like, I'm here, ladies. I'm here.
They'd be like, what the heck?
Right. So that's a good point. So, right, and so April is an attractive woman. I'm not going to say she's unattractive, but in that,
Yeah, she is.
but in that realm, you could see that she kind of looked like an outcast, right? Like you said, she didn't
Yeah.
quite fit. She's
I
not
think
that.
she's been like she grew up on a farm, from what I gather. She's more.
Uh-oh, we lost her.
She's like, fuck them close-ups. No, but yeah, she's but that's what I'm glad she's not as much of a I see you went out and you back again. But she's not as much of a girly girl,
Yeah.
if you will, as the other
Yeah.
women that were on the screen. But you were saying she
Yeah.
grew up in a farm?
Yeah, I think she grew up on a farm, and she's just a little bit more. I don't know, hands-on, and a little bit more rough, I guess, and just I don't know, not as girly. I don't know how else to describe
Which
it
is
either,
fine,
but
and I
she's
don't mind that. But
a genuine person, it seems like, and she seems nice and everything. She just doesn't seem like that kind of girl.
yeah, and I was surprised that that she wasn't getting more words in, having seen her on the show. I mean, she talks plenty on her show, and so I
Yeah.
thought that maybe she would find more opportunities to get in. So I don't know if she wasn't jiving with the topic, or if she wasn't jiving with the people on there, because I can see where that can be
Yeah.
intimidating and kind of hard to fit your way in. So I'm glad you shared your impressions of that, because I thought maybe I was being overly critical, but it's just kind of different because she was in a different realm, I think, with a different
Yeah,
group.
I think so. I think that it's hard to connect to other females that you don't have a lot in common with, no matter what. But I mean, that's just how it is, I guess, with anybody. But it really sticks out when there's a group of females on a screen as opposed to others, a mix of genders.
Yeah, I like. I was watching one of the past episodes, and somebody referred to her as like a barn dance 7 or a barn dance 8 or something like that. Like for a barn dance, for where she's from, she's quite highly rated, And she kind of took that. She kind of understood that. She was like, yeah, I see that, about myself. Let's see. Jerry Lahane says, April seems uptight anyway, unlike the perverted Disney Barbie doll show.
And that's the kind of viewpoint that some people do have of, Chrissy Mayer's whole crew,
Okay, all right, and I kind of see what he's trying to getting at, but uptight or maybe just normal, Jerry, because if that is a Barbie doll show, Disney show, where they're kind of putting it on, then you could almost make the argument, well, April was closer to being like the normal chick. So,
Yeah,
and that's what I was wondering. I'm like, because I'd never seen her like be uptight on her show. I mean, she's certainly quite outspoken on her show. So I'm glad you spoke to the dynamic of the female thing, because I maybe that's what it was, because I thought maybe it was the topic, but she had to know what they were going to be talking about to some extent.
I feel like I would have been a kind of like her in a sense of not knowing how to jive with those other girls, though, and know like how to communicate with them, just because I don't have a lot in common with them.
Yeah, and then those things, like, you might not be as intense about the human trafficking topics and the things that they talk about, right? And so that's what I was trying to figure out as I'm watching it. I'm like, is she not into the girls, or is she not into the topic, or is it a little bit of both? But you can see April do her thing with Aaron on Steel Toe morning show. They have a morning show version. They have an evening show version. What do you think about that? How they call all of their shows Steel Toe Morning Show? I mean, they're on multiple times of the day, right?
They
yeah,
are,
once in the evening. once in the evening and once in the morning. I think it's Monday through Friday too. Maybe Saturday. I don't know. I don't get to. There's so much that I don't get to watch even one show all the way through sometimes. So
I
That's true. Yeah.
I agree with that, and that's why we would always get together, and especially us three right here, we were like heavy link shares. Like, hey, this is what's going on.
Uh-huh.
This is what's on, because it is so hard to keep up. Hey, everybody, we got 7 people watching with us this morning on a Monday morning.
Hey, everybody.
10 of 11 here on the East Coast. The only reason I say that is so you know you can catch the BS show coming up at the top of the hour. But we're here talking about our favorite podcast and hanging out with some friends on screen and in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, it says down-to-earth mom type. Yes. And right, and maybe some of those other Barbie types can't relate to the mom thing. But it's interesting to see people get together. But I was just surprised at the lack of kind of what I perceived was lack of interaction. I think April was kind of nervous and out of her realm. Yes, Brian, thank you. I'm glad that I'm not the only one having this impression, because I'm watching it and I'm like, I cannot believe that April is being this quiet. You know, I've seen enough of their show to know that she's the other half of it, and she has no problem saying things on that show. And so I was like,
I wonder if Erin was there, if she would have been different, because she was there essentially like on Steel Toe. She has him beside her. And so she knows him and everything, obviously. But if he had been there, I wonder if she would have been a little bit more talkative.
That might be the case, because, you know, like I rely on you guys. Sometimes it is easier to talk, or you feel more free about talking when you have a knowing person, and you can say, hey, remember we talked about this, or that familiarity.
Exactly.
And there are a couple, so that could have like just opened her up in a whole different way. But that is kind of like the girls, the girls' night show or whatever. But yeah, they're sitting
with
on there
Anthony.
right, and that was the other dynamic that I thought was interesting about last night, is that Anthony Cumia is like in the middle of all that, and yeah, so
I think he loves it. I think he loves that he's hanging around with a whole bunch of and he's just in there, like he has no problem with it at all.
But let's segue to this part about Anthony Cumia and everything that went down last week with the MLC podcast, and the fact that probably Brennan and Levy going to Compound is pretty much probably a thing of the past. What do y'all think about that?
It's sad. It's sad. It really is. I wish there was some way they could have worked it out.
And you could see that it comes down to just basic economics. I mean, Kevin has been saying for a few months now about the $100. You know, that's been the running bit and the running gag. And then 2 weeks ago, Bob said he wasn't going into the city because of the rain. You know, he refused to negotiate the rain that day, remember? So then it turned into last week, where the rumblings were happening during the week, where Kevin was like, I'm not going up there for $100. I'm not doing it. I love when Shuley does the annoyed Kevin Brennan impression. I'm not doing it. He starts just yelling annoyed. But yeah, because for any of us, we watch, pretty regularly. You can see the economics involved here. If he's complaining about only getting $100, and all you have to do is watch part of the show to see the super chats that come in, it's basic math. So what did you think about how it kind of came out poorly and how this was all negotiated? It ended up going down live last Thursday on MLC and on Cumia. I'll start. Stormee, what do you think about that? Did you see any of that last week when?
Yeah, I think it could have been addressed differently, but there could have been other times maybe he's hinted or addressed it and nobody said anything. I don't know, but I think that $100, I was shocked to find out that they only got $100, because to me, I feel like their content is worth more, but I don't know what the going rate is necessarily either for those types of things. But if you're driving and you have kids and you're making more at home and stuff, I mean, yeah, I would stay home then.
Yeah. So that's that's the rub, in that they were going into town for this $100, and like the super chats have blown up since they've gone on this show. And $100 if you're a guest might be generous, but I agree with you in that he knew he was getting bang up content. Like when they would go in there on Thursdays, it would be a hoot. I mean, they got the hatchet guy from McDonald's. I mean, they would just stir up the place. And they said they go in there and it's kind of dead. So they would bring a lot of life to the place. And yeah, at some point when you come on every week, you're not, maybe you should be considered a co-host. And I think that's where the lines got blurred. It started out, hey, I'll do this friendly thing. Okay, I'll throw you $100 for tolls and gas money. And then it kind of slowly turned into like a regular thing where it should have been renegotiated, because I agree with you. They provide a lot of content and they are essentially co-host at that point. So while I agree that Kevin probably could have put it out there in a better way, that's his brand, and so that's how he chooses to like
Burning bridges.
just like there you go. He just throws a grenade and everything about his life apparently.
I hate that Bob's caught in the middle, kind of though. I hate that for him.
Yeah,
but
he really is.
Yeah, Bob is like
I think
Switzerland and all
he'll
this.
figure it out.
Bob would rather not be involved in any of these like arguments or negotiations. We can see this.
That's
He's constantly in. It is smart because there's no winning, and what happens? You end up taking somebody's side, and then those two people end up making up, and then you're the asshole either on the wrong side or stuck in the. So you're just better off just staying true to yourself.
It already feels like it's calming down a little bit after yesterday. Whenever I watched it, felt like it was kind of like a roundabout ways of trying to make peace, but didn't want to be the one to actually do it because then you're the one that has to admit something, and so it's like I don't know.
But then you got to think. Let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Right.
You got to think. Like Anthony says, he doesn't pay any guests. It's getting his plugs out there. It's probably bringing people to MLC.
Yeah,
so,
that's
Well,
why
it brought me to Compound though. I only subscribed because of Bob and Kevin. I never really was entertained by it before. So, but I've not watched as long as everybody else either. So, but it brings new viewers to Compound whenever you have somebody like Kevin or Bob who's out here.
I think it's beneficial for both sides. But
it is, and that becomes the rub. Who is it more beneficial for? Stormee makes a good point that they did bring heat. They brought her to Compound. So Cumia has to be aware of that, and he's aware on some level that these guys are regular Thursday co-hosts. You can say it's a Thursday guest, but those guys are on a higher level, and he knows that they were bringing content. And maybe they should have negotiated it in a more civilized way, and he should have seen the writing on the wall. But I think I do tend to agree with Levy that when Cumia goes down south, I think the need for that physical studio is going to be less and less. Bob was talking about how they act, or Kevin was, there's no life in there. They act like there's so much going on, but yet you go there and it's Gino, there's nothing going on. So I think there'll be something to be said for that. And we'll have to watch how it plays out in the future. But right now it is 3 minutes before the top of the hour. We got 6 people still with us. I appreciate hanging out not only with Stormee, but our old friend Bobby Nick, and let's see what we got here. Let's talk about what's coming up the rest of this week, and then we'll get on out here. We're going to go watch the BS show at the top of the hour.
And I'll actually be awake for it. It'll be nice.
Actually,
it's good encouragement, isn't it, to get up and get moving?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and it's great to have something, especially on a Monday morning with these guys. You get the first show like 9 o'clock in the morning, like whatever is good on a 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. So the fact that you can get up and jump in the chat with some I was talking with some friends right away in the chat. I mean, people that I've only maybe talked to once or twice, but they see your name and I say hello and they say hello back. And then you got another member of the family. So it's really great. I love it. Like the stuff with Tess and everything. I say it over and over again. The best thing that's come out of all this podcasting is relationship with people like Stormee and Bobby Nick and all of these friends that we have. It's just amazing.
For sure, yeah.
Yep.
And
that's true.
Every day we make new ones. So at the top of the hour, please go watch the BS show at the top of the hour on the Shuley Network. But tomorrow you can catch me and hopefully a Rob Saul and Chris Abels and maybe Anthony Zenhauser and Doug Nelson at 8:30 p.m. East on the Rob Saul Show. That'll be live on YouTube. You can catch. Go ahead.
I bet Rob will have something. To say about how Kevin was going at him yesterday a little bit on MLC.
So I tried to tune in because, like we said, they did the. They just pop up with these shows. The guys did an early show for us yesterday before the football game, and then an MLC popped up. I had that on playing while I was watching the game and doing other things, but I didn't hear all the Rob comments, but I did see Shuley and them say something that Rob was complimentary about. Kevin was complimentary of Rob on MLC. Did you hear any of the comments?
Yeah, I think that Kevin was just trying to find somebody else to bust on for a minute and take it, just kind of trying to flip it around to somebody new because he feels like he's so hard on certain people for such a long period of time. He had to find somebody else.
Oh my God, let's see. Let's see, we got some comments here. Shuli is funny with those impressions, not just the voice, but attitude, even cringy. Yes, he is, Jerry.
Yeah, he manages to pull it all out in there.
We'll take care of a couple of these comments, and then we're gonna get on with it. April, what? We got that? Yes. Go back. In the comedy community, I think Chrissy is the funniest woman comic. Okay, well, there you go, Brian. The hen house, yeah, it is a hen house. Got that Shuli one. Kev did Bob a favor not to get rolled by E-Rock. Let's see. Gino was a wrecking ball over a compound. Gino / is a wrecking ball over a compound. Yeah, I think he's still doing his thing there, Jerry. Let's see. Hey, Brian, that's right, buddy. We do. We have an awesome community, man.
That's right.
Jumackery is just jelly of Gino. Of jelly. He couldn't wreck compound before Gino did. That's funny. Well, that's all funny. So that's, that's where we see everybody in the chat. We see you in MLC. We see you in, in the Rob Saul Show tomorrow on the Shuli Network. Levyland, exclusively on the Shuli Network, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. See Levyland first, then you click over to YouTube at 8:30, and you'll catch us out on the Rob Saul Show. All right. And with that, I think it's about 11 o'clock, top of the hour, 11:01.
Yep.
So
hey, BF, before we go, do you mind if I do a plug?
I would like, yes, thank you for reminding me, Bobby. I want you to do proper plugs, and let's get out of here. Go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
All right. If anybody's wondering what I'm up to these days, I'm on the BYB podcast on YouTube. We got a show tonight. We got Bobby Tamburo coming on Wednesday, and we have another show on Friday. So, yeah, check it out.
Cool.
That's cool, Bobby Tamburo. I like Bobby Tamburo, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
Are,
yeah, it's Bobby.
are females welcome to the Backyard Boys, or is it just boys only?
Oh, I'm sure females are welcome. Yes.
I'll be in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Sounds good. Sorry.
Got to be of a hardier type, I guess, with that show, maybe, right?
A little bit.
All right. Let's see. And like we say, this is our friend Stormee's credits right here. Thank you, Stormee. SC Creations is all her links. Stormee Chamberlain right there. Some nice posters she made. I understand that Bob's got some shows coming up at the Comedy Loft again, and I think you helped with those, didn't you, Stormee?
Yes, I just sent him out some more not too long ago and getting ready to work on more.
Stormee always killing it.
Yeah, he said on one of the shows the other day that he's like, I'm gonna have like one or two more shows and I'm gonna close the place just because of Gino or something like that. So there you go. SC Creations, our friend Stormee, right there. Okay.
I'm a fancy girl.
Oh, that's right. I meant to get that clip from you. We're gonna have to.
Oh,
I meant to ask you for that. We're gonna
We
get
can
that
do it next time.
Yes, on one of the shows the other night, Stormee did a super chat on Out of the Coffin, and Bob started with his that's Stormee. She's a fancy girl. It's Stormee. Oh, she's fancy. He goes into his British accent. So that she said she clipped that. So we'll have that for you another time. We're gonna play that for you. But
Yeah, that was funny.
in the meantime, real quick, if I could ask you if I could find it. Let's see. Find my channel. Please go out if you haven't already. Go out to YouTube and go out to find BF Bobby Fran, Armchair Comic Channel, where you'll see this episode and other episodes. Shout out to the 6 people that are still in our live chat with us this morning. We're glad you joined us. We hope you have a great week. Enjoy your last Monday in January. We're heading to February. We're going to be, before you know it's going to be spring and summer. So keep the faith.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep hanging out together. Enjoy your week with your family and friends. Enjoy your podcast week. And let's see.
Get your croissant and some bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap. That's right. Get your bubble wrap. Get your croissant. Let's hit a couple of these comments. And let's go check out what the boys are. Hoping they'll be a couple 2-3 minutes late like they always are with the BS show. There's our awesome community comment. Mockery. Jerry says, what's that? Really, you need to get some.
Cruder
Really need to get
boys.
some contacts.
Yeah.
Cutter boys. All right.
Cruder.
Stormee. Fancy girl. We appreciate you, Jerry. She has a name Bob can pronounce. There you go. All right. Get that. Get her sound effect. There you go. All right, y'all. With that, we appreciate you joining us this morning. We're heading over to the BS Show chat. We have a great week. Catch our friend Bobby Nick on the BYB podcast. You can catch Stormee on everything we do, Coffee With, Sports Heads. And for Bobby Nick, for Stormee, I'm Bobby Fran BF. Peace and love, and we'll see you next time we see you. Have a good week, everybody.
Hey.